Hello, good afternoon. I'm Father Alexander. Here we are at St. Peter's in Hove, and it's time for our 40th step in our walking tour through the Bible. And it's only our second step in the much maligned book of Numbers. Now, we got to chapter 11, if you remember. And if you just look at sort of chapter 11, verses 13, Moses says, "Where am I to find meat to give all these people, pestering me with their tears and saying, 'Give us meat to eat'? I cannot carry all these people on my own. The weight is too much for me. If this is how you mean to treat me, please kill me outright. If only I could win your favor and be spared the sight of my misery." So the people start moaning, as they've already done in the book of, this is a retelling of or another version of what goes on in the book of Exodus. They start moaning. Moses intercedes with God for them, and Moses complains about his workload. Moses's job is to govern the people, to lead the people, and also to settle disputes among the people. And it's also to administer the law for the people. So he's a judge, and he's a leader. And God says, collect the 70 elders of Israel. And then the 70 elders are collected. And then it says, then he collected 70 of the people's elders and stationed them round the tent. The Lord descended in the cloud. He spoke to them, took some of the spirit that was on him and put it on the 70 elders. When the spirit came on them, they prophesied, but only once. So what God does is he calls together the 70 elders. Now, 70 is sort of a magic number, Septuagint. It's a number that comes up again and again in the Bible. If you remember, our blessed Lord sent out 70 disciples. He collects these 70 and gives them some of the spirit which is on Moses. So they share in Moses' divine inspiration, and they will help Moses to administer the 600,000 people of Israel. So if you want to think for a moment Moses is the Pope, or like the Pope, these 70 are like the bishops. There's a college of 70 elders who are there to help Moses in his job. And then, of course, it says that Joshua, son of Nun, says, look, stop them. They're prophesying. There are two others, Eldad and Medad. So they're actually 72. Now, that's rather important because 72 is, I'm no good at mathematics. How much is 72? Is it 6/12s or something? Yes. Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp, and he says, stop them. My Lord Moses, stop them. Moses replied, are you jealous on my account? If only all the Lord's people were prophets, and the Lord had given them his spirit. And then, of course, as we know, that is a prophecy by Moses, if you like. If only all the Lord's people were prophets, one day all the Lord's people will be prophets, because the Spirit of the Lord will not just be given to the 70 elders, 72 elders, but to the whole of his people. So it's looking forward to the church, which is the body of people on which the Spirit rests. Now, if we go back to Pentecost, which this clearly reminds us of, or foreshadows, in Pentecost, the Spirit of God comes down on 70 people gathered in the upper room, about 70 people. Then they go out and they baptize lots and lots of people, and the church grows from that. So what this is telling us is about how the church is governed. While there can only be one leader, and while there are a group of privileged people who share in the leadership of the church, the whole of the church is endowed with the Spirit of God. Now, this, of course, raises important questions about that key word of which we've heard so much nowadays, synodality. Synodality is just a new word. It's not quite clear to me what it means. Synod means a group of people discussing things, a group of bishops discussing things. Or maybe a group of bishops and a group of laity discussing things. Synod comes from the Greek synhodos, taking the same path, We used to call synodality, I think, what we used to call it consultation back in the day. We never saw very much of it, but back in the day, back in the 1980s, it was quite a common thing. There should be consultation about decisions made. Some people who are very much influenced by St. Ignatius of Loyola will talk about discernment. there should be group discernment about the decisions to be made. Synodality is something like group discernment, and it's something like group consultation. And of course, it is also, I think, though, if you really want to be clear what synodality is, it is group consultation in the light of the fact that each one of us has received the Holy Spirit in our confirmation, and each one of us has been, to some extent, enlightened by the Holy Spirit. Each one of us has been inspired by the Holy Spirit. So, if you like, it's not just the shepherd who is the inspired one, it is the whole flock that is inspired. The Holy Spirit exists, lives, and animates the whole body of the church. And the whole body of the church is where the Holy Spirit is found, not just in its head. Now, this is quite an interesting thing, I suppose, and it does correct the idea that the church is some sort of monarchy or some sort of dictatorship. The church is a monarchy in the sense that there is one head of the church, and here may I just point out the head of the church is Jesus Christ, and the church is his body. The Pope is the visible head of the church, Jesus Christ on earth. Jesus Christ is in heaven, but he is the true head of the church. But all of us share in the Spirit of Jesus. So if you want to understand how the church is governed, or rather how the church should be governed, then chapter 11 of the book of Numbers is a place to start. If only all God's people were prophets. Well, we are prophets. There are many things that are stopping us from prophesying. So what we need to do is we need to overcome those barriers to us being prophets. And the biggest barrier to us being prophets is not other people, it's ourselves. It is our sinfulness, and it is our pride, and it is our egotism. So don't think for a moment that this is some sort of license for you to go and start telling people what to do. Rather, it's you sitting with God and allowing God to tell you what to do, I think. All the very best, and we'll continue this journey soon. Bye.